Now at 5, new month, 25 new laws in North Carolina. We break down what they mean for children and the military.
Plus, reaction to the U.S. government shutdown. We ask local lawmakers what it means for you.
Live from WCTI 12, this is News 12 Now at 5.
Good evening. Thanks for joining us for a special edition of News 12 Now at 5.
The MLB wildcard games are currently airing on ABC, so we're bringing you a special digital newscast.
We'll be back on ABC at 6 tonight after the game.
But first, 25 new laws took effect in North Carolina today. Some aim to keep children safe, others to help military members and their families. News 12's Chris Young sat down with state lawmakers and joins us now to break down how the laws impact you.
Tyler, while dozens of laws have taken effect, I spoke with Senator Bob Brinson and Representative Tim Reeder about the effects a few of them may have on eastern North Carolina. When I sat down with Senator Bob Brinson, we talked about two of the Senate bills taking effect. Senate Bills 118 and 429. For Senate Bill 429, Senator Brinson says the driving factor is keeping children safe around controlled substances like prescription drugs.
If children are exposed to those and they either ingest those or die by those, then there are penalties associated with that. And really it's to bring awareness to accidental ingestion of drugs.
The law redefines these penalties, ranging from 2 years to life in prison, depending on the circumstances. The next bill we talked about was Senate Bill 118, which aims to assist veterans and those in active duty. As an Army vet himself, Senator Brinson says an important part of the bill is giving more time for military members and their families to enroll in schools.
It gives them some stability. Just like we said, while I was in the military, while you recruit and enlist a soldier or Marine or an airman, you retain a family.
Over in the North Carolina House, I spoke with Representative Tim Reeder about House Bills 67 and 612. Representative Reeder says House Bill 67 will streamline the process of getting a medical license to help make health care more accessible in the state.
If you have a license in another state, you can get one in North Carolina much more quickly and easily. It's just going to increase the availability of physicians in North Carolina.
We also spoke about House Bill 12, which Representative Reeder says plays a big part in improving foster care for children.
This bill really took a broad look at the entire process of foster care, of who gets certified, how you place, the court systems, and it really was fundamental in helping revise the whole system for foster care.
To see a full list of all the new laws taking effect across the state, you can find a breakdown on our website, WCTI12.com. Live in the newsroom, I'm Chris Young with News 12.
Well, the clouds have been hanging around eastern Carolina today. Many of you on the outside noticing the breeze also cooling things down just a little bit. As you take a look down along the waterfront, we still have the wave action going on, and that is because of the areas that have been pushing the waves in from Umberto. But by the way, that storm has now become a remnant low and is no longer being attracted by the hurricane center. Otherwise, we are still tracking Hurricane Imelda headed toward or just north of Bermuda tonight. 100-mile-per-hour winds, as you can see, a Category 2 storm headed east-northeast at 22. It is picking up the pace, should become post-tropical or extratropical tomorrow. Now, take a look at the radar. We have nothing across the area, just the cloud cover. Those clouds will try to break up in the overnight. I think most of the night is partly to mostly cloudy. And then tomorrow we'll go with a partly cloudy to mostly sunny day across the region. And as you can see, the temperatures a little bit on the cool side today. We're in the low 70s and the humidity levels down just a bit. Looks like we'll actually drop into the mid 60s by 10 o'clock tonight. And as we take our way through the rest of the week, it looks like we're going to see the improving conditions. I'll break down those details in a couple of minutes.
At the start of this week, more than 500 students were medically excluded from Pitt County schools for missing vaccination and health report deadlines. Today, that number is cut in half, but many still have questions about vaccination requirements for students. The state of North Carolina does allow students to forego vaccinations for medical or religious purposes. Both these requirements do come with documentation of some form, whether that be a letter explaining why it's against their religious beliefs or a medical document providing the reason they cannot receive it. We asked the Pitt County Schools Executive Director of Student Services for clarification.
If a parent has an objection, they would express it to a school staff member, and then the staff member would put them in touch with either my office or our school nurse manager. All of our nurses are contracted through ECU, so they have that support as well.
Aside from providing vaccination records, students must also have proof of a physical exam that was within that calendar year. Some of the students are missing those evaluations. Pitt County does have a variety of clinics and resources for students in need. For information on those, visit WCTI12.com. We're tracking the federal government shutdown, which will last at least until Friday. No votes are scheduled for tomorrow in observance of Yom Kippur. Today, the Senate failed for a second time to get the 60 votes needed to pass a short-term budget. Atra Elnashor reports on how all of this could end.
Congress has pulled America into a government shutdown. How will they get out of it? Republicans, with majorities in the House and Senate, insist on passing a House-approved budget to extend current funding levels until November 21st. In a rare opportunity of leverage, Democrats say any budget must be bipartisan as they fight to prevent spikes in health insurance costs when Affordable Care Act subsidies expire at the end of the year.
It's clear that the way out of this shutdown is to sit down and negotiate with Democrats to address the looming health care crisis.
Republicans gearing up for a war of attrition, focused on peeling off another 5 Democratic votes needed to pass the stopgap budget.
There's nothing to negotiate. There's no compromises to be had. They'll have another chance later this week and next week, and as long as it takes until the Senate passes the House bill. That's the way we will end this needless Schumer shutdown.
Each side nailing down their messaging. The NRCC, the funding arm for House Republican campaigns, already out with this ad.
Democrats shut it down.
Democrats are pushing for the shutdown, and they will get blamed if it happens.
As for the Democrats' strategy,
well, it's really the Trump shutdown.
They're under pressure from a voter base hungry to see their leaders fight harder against President Trump's agenda and are counting on real-life impacts of expiring healthcare subsidies to cause Republicans to buckle.
Starting today, people will get notices that their health care premiums could go up as much as $1,000.
Independent Senator Angus King caucuses with Democrats and was one of 3 to cross the aisle and vote for the short-term budget. Not because he liked it, he says, but out of fear for what the White House will do in the meantime.
The irony, the paradox is, by shutting the government, we're actually giving Donald Trump more power.
The White House says mass federal layoffs are imminent and inevitable, but did not give an answer when asked why workers have to lose their jobs instead of being furloughed like in shutdowns past. In Washington, I'm Atra Elnashar.
And tonight, lawmakers from North Carolina are weighing in on the government shutdown on social media. Let's go ahead and take a look at what a few of them are saying tonight. First, Republican Representative Greg Murphy sharing this letter you see here to the Chief Administrative Officer at the Capitol to request his pay be withheld during the shutdown. The 27th Amendment prevents Congress from stopping pay during a government shutdown. The text of the amendment bars any immediate changes to lawmaker salaries until the next election. Meantime, Democratic Representative Don Davis also sharing he's in Washington, D.C. to address concerns about its impact on services and employment. He says he's committed to working with his colleagues to restore government operations. And just this morning, Republican Senator Thom Tillis posting about the shutdown you see here. In his post, he says, quote, "Let's get back to work." And Republican Senator Ted Budd also sharing, despite the shutdown, his offices are open. We'll continue to follow all the political reaction from Washington to here at home as lawmakers work to reach an agreement to reopen the government.
And as lawmakers struggle to come to an agreement, we're looking into what the shutdown means for you. The U.S. Food and Drug Administration's ability to provide oversight will be harmed. According to the Department of Health and Human Services contingency plan, the FDA will be limited, but will still respond to emergencies. The Department of Education is furloughing most of its staffers, but officials say they will continue to dole out Pell Grants and student loans. In previous shutdowns, students had trouble getting tax documents from the IRS in order to get financial aid. But most Department of Homeland Security workers will continue working. Those positions include Customs and Border Patrol, ICE, TSA, and FEMA. The U.S. Department of Agriculture warned it could only guarantee to provide food stamp benefits through February. The Social Security Administration's contingency plan states payments will not be interrupted. Department of Labor officials say unemployed Americans can still get jobless benefits. That will last as long as state agencies have administrative funding to process them.
We are asking you to weigh in on the WCTI News 12 social media pages. Our question: should members of Congress continue to get paid during the government shutdown? Overall, most of you say no. Here's what more of you are saying. Let's go ahead and take a look if you want your voices heard. First, we have Gabriella says absolutely not. We have Jennifer as well, absolutely not. Let's take a look at Laura here. No, and in my opinion, each day in the shutdown that everyone is in Congress should get fined $1,000 a day and no collecting a paycheck until the end and after all funds are deducted. If you want to make your voice heard, of course, we're hearing from a lot of you. We do appreciate it. Just visit the WCTI News 12 Facebook page. From there, just scroll to find our question of the day.
Yesterday, we shared how two ECU professors say this will all affect Eastern Carolina's economy. You can find that story and more on the shutdown on our website, WCTI12.com.
Well, we're going to check out the tropics for the latest information on Imelda because of the fact that it is starting to pull away, but it may impact, as you can see, in the next hour or so. We're going to see things start to pick up, and in the overnight especially as this passes near Bermuda, the island right there that you see with a hurricane warning in effect already that will run through the overnight. You can see still a couple of 100 miles to the west, but it will make up that track overnight tonight. Right now, 100-mile-per-hour winds east-northeast is the direction it's headed at 22 with 966 millibars of pressure. And you can see this will pass over or near the islands tonight. And again, by the time we get into tomorrow, this will start to weaken. It's a Category 2 storm right now, expected to become extra tropical and post-tropical as we get late in the weekend. Over the weekend will weaken quickly as it makes its way into the northern part of the Atlantic. By the way, Humberto has been downgraded to a remnant low and is no longer being tracked, or at least advisories not issued by the Hurricane Center. Because of Humberto especially, we've been seeing the conditions actually start to deteriorate along the coast, the sound side and the ocean side, but along the rivers we also have the coastal flood advisory until 8 o'clock on Friday morning. That's for Beaufort County, Pamlico County, Southern Craven. Now until Thursday night for western parts of Carteret County and the coastal areas of Onslow County. Also a flood warning, a coastal flood warning, as you can see, for down east Carteret, especially on the southern side of the sound. And again, what we're expecting is to see the possibility of 2 to 3 feet in water level rises, especially around the high tide over the next couple of days. So the next couple of high tide cycles, you may still see some of that flooding in those areas. Now, as you take a look at the rip currents, it's affected with Duck all the way down to Cape Lookout, and from the Bogue Inlet down to Surf City, we're looking at the high rip current risk for tomorrow. Looks like overnight tonight, the clouds try to break up in the overnight period. Temperatures certainly cooler, back into the 50s, mid-50s inland. Low to mid-60s along the Crystal Coast. It remains breezy and will so as it appears right now until Friday when things start to relax a bit. Take a look at the forecast temperatures here in the 70s for the next couple of days into the weekend, and we're back into the low 80s, normal high 79, so not far from where we should be for this time of year.
All right, Donnie. Well, Val and I are very excited about all this nice weather weather coming up, especially for the North Carolina Seafood Festival only a few days away. The festival begins Friday at 3 in the afternoon with a few musical performances you don't want to miss. News 12's Mary Grace Armistead shares what we need to know ahead of all the fun.
The North Carolina Seafood Festival is back, bringing all the flavors of the coast to Morehead City. I spoke with John Millette with Southern Breeze Seafood Market, who is also a commercial fisherman. He is bringing his own local seafood and is participating in the event. He tells us why it's so important.
North Carolina Seafood Festival is very important because it showcases the heritage and the quality of seafood that we have here in the state of North Carolina, which is not only some of the best in the country, but some of the best in the world.
As the largest three-day festival in the state, it brings people from all over the country to experience fresh, local North Carolina seafood. And that's especially important this year as commercial fishermen have been fighting to protect their livelihood.
And with the Seafood Festival is actually really showcasing that is way more than it used to, and that's so this year at the Seafood Festival, you're gonna see a lot of North Carolina seafood being representative, showcased, and we're gonna be on stage cooking some together as well.
Organizers say more than 200 vendors will also be a part of the festival. You can also meet members of our news team at the News 12 tent. Reporting for News 12, Mary Grace Armistead.
All right, then the fun continues in Craven County with Mumfest in historic downtown New Bern. The two-day event spans next Saturday, October 11th and Sunday, October 12th. It will feature live music, artists, and of course all those beautiful mums.
But if the mums aren't your thing, what about mullets? Not the 80s hairstyle, but the fish. The 71st annual Swansboro Mullet Festival is also next weekend, the 11th and 12th. Festivities officially kick off the night of the 10th with the blessing of the fleet.
In this week's Voices of Valor, a former crew chief who turned his time in the Air Force into a lifelong commitment to service shares his story. News 12's Mariah Davis sat down with Bill O'Brien, who's helping veterans and first responders build new purpose through rescue dogs.
Voices of Valor, sponsored by Piggly Wiggly.
For many, the desire to join the military starts at a young age. That was not the case for Bill O'Brien.
I joined the service right out of high school. Kind of a snot-nosed kid that needed to get set straight, so to speak.
O'Brien spent 4 years in service from 1976 to 1980, working as a crew chief.
So I went into aircraft maintenance, and I ended up becoming a crew chief on a tanker, which is a flying gas station. But it's a Boeing 707, and so we used to transport people around the country. You were responsible from the tip of that plane to the tail of that plane. Your job was to keep that plane up and running. When the plane landed, you were responsible for meeting it.
What do you think the military taught you? How were you before you went in? How were you when you came out?
I don't know. I was not a great student. There are so many things I've learned in the past since then that if you teach people how to be a student, that actually you could be a good one if you wanted to. So the military teaches you, it gives you, if you're a young kid, it gives you a good foundation for taking accountability, for learning to listen. Listen with your ears and not with your mouth.
So how long did it take you to get it together?
10 minutes tops, I think, was pretty much it. And we had a great time in boot camp.
Since leaving service, O'Brien spends his time with Paws of War of Eastern Carolina, helping match up rescue dogs with disabled veterans and first responders to train them as a companion or a service dog.
Success that occurs is really due to the person and their dog and them becoming a good team, right? And that's the success to it all.
A good team is what it's all about. Well, if you'd like to watch the full interview, just visit the WCTI News 12 YouTube page. Of course, our thanks to Mariah Davis. Click on the Voices of Valor playlist.
Coming up tonight at 6, more than 24 bills become state law. News 12's Chris Young breaks down a few important ones.
Plus, we continue our coverage of the government shutdown impacts, how lawmakers are reacting, and what the shutdown means for you. News 12 now at 6 starts on ABC after the MLB Wild Card game.